I'm going to keep it real, really real, in the words of Kevin Gates, for a minute. I'm going to keep it really real. And this probably will not go viral. And people more than likely will not share what I'm about to say, but I think it needs to be said. And doesn't matter how many people like or dislike what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say it. And I've lost just about everything I owned at one time or another. So the opinions of people really don't matter to me. So I'm not in a position of being worried about what people think or how they feel about what it is I'm going to say. I'm just telling you now, I'm going to say some things that traditional people are going to have some problems with. The religious people are going to have some problems with. You're going to have some problems with what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Again, you're not inviting me to your church to preach anyway, so it's not going to matter what I say because you're not inviting me anyway. So I don't preach for you. I'm not getting any love offering from you. We're not Facebook friends. We probably will never talk to each other. So how you feel about what I'm going to say is not going to matter, but I think it needs to be said anyway. A lot of things have been happening in the media as a result of what has happened in Orlando. I am extremely disappointed in clergy and the role that clergy has played in the midst of this situation, that in a time to witness and to show the love of Christ, we'd rather throw stones and talk about this is the judgment of the Lord and this is God's judgment upon gays and homosexuals and things of that nature. And the first thing that I'm going to say, and hopefully I'll piss some of you off, but the first thing I'm going to say, if God has not come back because of what America did to the Negro, if we haven't seen judgment just because of what America has done to the Negro, then why do you think that we're going to see judgment just because of the homosexual? There have been a lot of atrocities that have been committed in this country, a lot of blood that has been shed in this country. And to hear people saying that these type of murders are justified is sickening to my stomach. And what's even more baffling to me is how people want to stand up for the gospel truth as it pertains to homosexuality, but take a seat on all the other abominations that the Word of God also lists as things that God hates. One of the things that God hates is obesity. I need you to understand, gluttony is an abomination to the Lord, but we don't hear sermons being preached on gluttony. Fat, nasty, bloated preachers. We don't hear anything about that. We won't preach that. Watch this, but that is equally an abomination to God. Some of y'all gonna start dropping off, and that's fine. That is equally an abomination to God, as it is in all the other things. A lying tongue is an abomination to God. Now, I'm not trying to differentiate between sin. I am saying that all sin is the same. And when you try to legislate sin and cover your issue, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with you. I got a problem with you when you want to talk about homosexuals and all this, and you are fat, nasty, bloated, disgusting, and won't lose weight. Now, if gluttony is an abomination, why are we not having people talk about the role that obesity is playing in destroying the church? Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody's going to talk about that. And you might as well go ahead and unfriend me now, because I'm not going to change what I'm saying. I think the main problem is the church helped created the homosexual problem. We had preachers molesting young boys. We had priests molesting young boys. We had ministers of music we knew deviled in that type of work. We knew that they were doing these type of things, and we did nothing. We covered it and we act like it didn't happen. Now that it's blowing up all in front of us, we want to pitch a fit, we want to get upset, and we want to start throwing stones at people when we were the people that helped propagate this stuff. We were the people that helped push this stuff and keep this stuff to the forefront. Oh, look, people are dropping, so I must be saying something right. And if you get off and go on your Facebook status and write something in accordance to what I've written, then or what I'm saying, that's absolutely fine. I said in the beginning, before I got started, you did invite me to your church to preach anyway. So since you did invite me to preach anyway, you're definitely not going to invite me to preach now. So I might as well continue what I'm saying. The bigger problem that I'm seeing right now is everybody wants, it's the homosexual. The homosexuals doing this. The homosexual's doing that. The homosexual's doing this. Okay, I get that. What about the fornicating preacher, the adulterous preacher, the drunken preacher, the bisexual preacher? Watch this. Why are we not throwing stones at all those other things? See, we want to pick and choose what sins we want to be mad at. We want to pick and choose what sins and what people we want to crucify. We want to pick and choose what people we don't like. But here is the bigger picture. Here is the bigger picture. Here's the bigger picture. The bigger picture is you're going to have to answer to God for the things that you've done in private, and you're going to have to answer to God for the things you've done in secret, the things that don't nobody know about. Oh, if we could search your search engine, your history on your internet, and find out how many pictures and how many porn sites and how many things that you went and looked at. See, you can throw stones at the homosexual because you can see them, but nobody's in a position. Nobody's in a position. And I said, I'm so sick of watching these people, this getting ready to happen next, and this getting ready to happen next, and this getting ready to happen next, and this getting ready to happen. And God is sure coming back. If God ain't came back because of the Negro, then God ain't finna come back because of the homosexual. I'm going to say it again. If God ain't came back because of what white America did to the Negro, don't tell me that God's getting ready to come back because homosexuality is rising to the forefront. If God hasn't came back for all of them preachers sleeping with all those women in the church, if God ain't came back from all the pedophiles and the pedophile priests, if God ain't came back then, don't say God's coming back right now. Listen, we don't know when God is coming back, but we do know this. We do know the church, the Christian army, is the only army that shoots its wounded. We shoot them, we kill them, we cannibalize them, we eat them. We don't give a damn about them. Why? And I need you to hear me say this. Homosexuals are starting to realize y'all really don't care. No. A sin is a sin. Absolutely, a sin is a sin. I'm not arguing with you on the proponent that it is a sin, but I am saying the tactics that we use. We got some erroneous tactics that we're using for dealing with sin, and homosexuals are sick of it because they see you pointing out their stuff at the same time you hide behind yours. You use the pulpit as a weapon to fight against homosexuals, but you sure won't use that pulpit when it comes to your penis going in the vagina that's not your wife. And here is the problem. This is what's wrong. It's a sin. All of it is. And they're seeing the hypocrisy, and that's the reason why they're not listening. That's the reason why they're not coming to church. That's the reason why they're raising up their own religion. That's the reason why they're raising up their own faith, because they could care less about what you say. So all this stemmed out of, I made a comment on a preacher's post, and another preacher came on and said, you sound like a sympathizer for the homosexual. They say you sound like a sympathizer for the homosexual. I say, absolutely, I'm a sympathizer for the homosexual. Well, how are you a sympathizer for the homosexual? Well, see, God was a sympathizer for me. Though I was not a homosexual, I was still very sexual. And the very sexual I was is still covered by the blood. I need 5 of y'all to catch this, and you ain't got to like me. You can defriend me. You can defrock me. You can take my bishop's collar, my apostle's collar. I don't wear them anyway, but I'm here to tell the truth. The bigger picture that I'm seeing right now, the bigger picture I'm seeing right now is how we categorize sin. Well, that one's more worse than the other, and that one's more worse than the other, and that one's more worse than the other. And so now let's put all the people together that we don't like and let's stone them. Let's crucify them. A man goes into a club and shoots all these people. He goes into a club, shoots all of these people. Here's a time to witness. Here's a time to witness. Goes into the club, shoots all these people. Here's a time to witness, and we screw that up. Here's a time to witness, and we screw that up. Here's a time to witness, and we screw it up by saying this is God's judgment on the homosexual. Well, where is God's judgment on the fornicating preacher? And where is God's judgment on the adulterous man of God? Where is God's judgment on all the other stuff that we've done? Y'all don't even know who gay, first of all. Some of the songs that you're singing on Sunday are written by men who are on the down low and wouldn't dare come out because you wouldn't know how to cover them. Some of the songs that you now sing are written by down low homosexual men and homosexual women, but they would never come out because they know what you would do to them once they came out. But you're definitely singing their songs, and God knows all of it. Now, I want you to understand that I am not, hear me, I ain't making an excuse for homosexuality, just like I'm making an excuse for all my stuff that I do. And I got some issues. Trust me, Spiller got some issues. And because I got some issues, I am less likely to crucify someone when the blood still covers and protects me. See, one of the things that God wanted you to do when you became a sinner and saved, one of the things that he wanted you to do when you became, he wanted you to have an understanding for sin, not compromise it, but an understanding of it. God didn't want you to crucify them. God didn't want you to destroy them. He said, the same patience I had with your tail, the same love that I showed you while you were in yourself. Well, they're enjoying it and they're enjoying their sin and they're loving their sin. Well, didn't you love it? Didn't you love it until you came to a cognition and a conscious reality that it's wrong? And I wish I had 10 of y'all who will go ahead and tell the truth. Even though you found out it was wrong, you still did it anyway. Just because you found out the word said don't do it didn't mean that you stopped it. Some of y'all right now, listen to me. There's a preacher right now. You can probably jumped out, but you ain't right. You know you a hoe. You know you got a woman on the side. You know you got a man on the side, and yet you stand behind the pulpit and don't show any grace for those who are in an issue. I need you to understand you are what's wrong with the church and why I am done with systematic religion as I see it. I can't stand it no more. I can't stand it. Keep your collars, keep your cross, keep your robes, keep your vestments. I want the people to come to Christ the same way I came to it. The same way I came to it. I came to him as a wretch still undone. And God came and watch this and received me with my nasty self. And then when I came in, guess what God had the audacity to do? He had the audacity to still love me while I was sinning. Can I tell you the truth? I was preaching the gospel and still having sex. Oh, y'all not ready for that revelation. I was preaching the gospel and still having sex. What? Are you serious, Spiller? Yes, preach and loving me some fornication. Oh, y'all better hear this. This is probably going to be as real as it's going to get. Loving me some fornication. Oh my God, did I love preaching? And right after I preach, I'd have sex. See, I'm somebody that's not afraid to tell you what I was and tell you that God rescued me from that. The rest of these religious folk that act like they ain't never done nothing and act like they knew. I was the preacher who was watching porn. Oh, y'all not hearing me. I was watching porn. I was watching Vanessa Del Rio. I was watching porn and preaching, masturbating and preaching. And God had patience with me till I dealt with that pornography spirit, that lust devil. And see, if you would have known that about me, you'd judge me for it. But I discovered something. I discovered I don't need your love when I have the love of my daddy, when I have the love of my father. So I don't expect you to understand my plight. I don't expect you to understand my struggle. Listen, and I'm the one that will receive people and say, listen, bro, I know it ain't easy. I know it's a struggle. I know you having problems. I know you having issues. But the same God that rescued me from Vanessa Del Rio, the same God that rescued me from masturbation. And I'm here to tell 10 of y'all, I didn't stop masturbating because I got saved. I didn't stop masturbating because I got preaching. It was a process. And the same God that rescued me from that. And the reason why I'm able to tell this story publicly to you, because I've already said it publicly. See, I have nothing to hide. I can't stand religious people that act like they ain't got nothing. They ain't never did nothing. They never been nowhere. And listen. The next time I see an obese person that downing homosexuals, the next time I see a gluttonous, fat, jelly-back, nasty person destroying homosexuals and speaking against them and say they're going to hell for that abomination, I'm going to say, well, guess what? You're going to meet them there first. And the reason why you're going to meet them there first, because God hates gluttony as well. We've got to start telling people the truth. Don't you dare point out what you can see on me. And I can see just as well that you are fat, obese, and bloated. I can tell just as well you have no discipline over your appetite. You don't work out. You don't go to the gym. You don't walk. You don't jog. You don't run. You don't do nothing. You stuff your face and blame it on thyroids. And when you see a homosexual, you want to stone him to death. You are working for the devil. You just so happen to be in the church. And we're watching these people destroy these people because they don't like them. I got preachers. You're listening to me right now, or y'all gonna either have a meeting about me talking right now. You know I could care less about y'all, preachers, all of y'all. I could care less about all of y'all. Somebody needs to start. I wish, you know what I wish? I wish God started exposing y'all publicly. So that right when you talk about Spiller, God just start making your business known. The girl you're sleeping with, she get pregnant and won't have an abortion. I wish God would just start pulling your covers off so you be less likely to get up and destroy somebody else for a sin that you can see. I wish God just start stripping y'all publicly. Oh, God, Father, I pray that you just strip them publicly. All those who are making this bigger than what it is, strip all of us so that no man can come before all of us as if he is clean. Expose them all. Just start exposing everybody who's not right. Expose them all of them. All of them. Let the woman they sleeping with come down in front of the church and say, the man of God, the bishop, is sleeping with me. I pray that God will start letting people come out and start revealing your stuff, since you want to take a hard stance against homosexuality and you don't have no grace and you don't have no mercy. May the mercy that you don't show be the mercy that you don't receive. I'm talking about expose them all. Expose them all. Now, here's the truth. I was homophobic. Yes, I was. Oh, I preached against the homosexual more than I preached against anything else. I used to preach about homosexuality. Oh my God, did I preach against homosexuality? I preached against it so much. Well, are you saying you don't preach against it anymore? I preach against everything that is not right. I don't pick and choose the flavor of the month. If you connected to me, then you know obesity is an abomination. Just as well as you know a lying tongue is an abomination. Chrissy say the women are already doing that. 10 armor bearers and no armor. Absolutely. Adjutants. I know bishops. Oh, y'all gonna want me to talk. I know bishops who are the bishop is a hoe and all the adjutants are hoes. And yet I see on Facebook that they're trying to take a hard stand against something, and I don't ever see them preaching about the whoredom that's going on in the church. But they have no problem speaking against some things that they don't want to deal with, or something that they don't struggle with. You will never know what it's like to be a homosexual. You'll never know what it's like to be a homosexual, because you never tasted that fruit. But you know what you're likening it to? Especially if you obese. I want you to liken homosexuality to your obesity. You know what it's like when you can't turn down that chocolate cake or that 8-piece from Kentucky Fried Chicken? You know what it's like when you can't turn down that wagon wheel pizza that you continue to eat when you know your blood pressure is high? You know what it's like when you have those midnight cravings and you want to eat a gallon of ice cream instead of not eating? You see that craving and you say, Lord, I should not be eating this ice cream, but you eat a whole gallon. You know what that's like? That's the same pull that they have on them. And just like you can't resist, maybe it's difficult for them to resist too. But you want to skip over that. You don't want to even acknowledge that. You don't even want to look at that. And that is the problem. It's no self-control. When you've tasted something, the body craves it and it's going to want it until it gets it. And if you can understand it from your obesity standpoint, then you can understand it from their fornication standpoint. You can understand it from an adultery standpoint. And you can understand it from a homosexuality standpoint. It's like a drug with no rehab. Oh, Eric, you said it. It's like a drug with no rehab. Do you think with the hatred that the church spews toward the homosexual, do you think that there are those out there that just want to be that way? Do you think that there are those out there that just want to be? Yes, they want to be that way because I can see it. I can see it. I can see it. Okay. Let your uncle put his penis in your rectum and have an orgasm. Let your father put his penis in your rectum and have an orgasm. No, we're just going to be real for a second, okay? This Facebook may pull this down because of just how real it is. Let you be molested by your bishop. Let your bishop rub between your legs and you ejaculate as a young boy and you don't even know what's going on. Let your bishop do that to you. Oh, y'all don't like this part. Let the minister of music that's teaching you how to play rub on you and molest on you and kiss on you and tell you he loves you. Let them do that to you. It's amazing how we take ourselves out of their disposition and not recognize what these people have gone through and the identity that's been shaped by predators. And more than likely a predator was preyed upon first. But we don't look at that. All we look at is he needs to be delivered. The blood of Jesus. He needs to be delivered. What can wash away? The blood, the blood, the blood. Plead the blood. Cast out that devil. I personally know people who've been in lines and we've casted out demons, homosexual devils. We've casted out homosexual devils, right? Casted them out, right? You think they're delivered. Before they can get to the parking lot, that thing is still bothering them. Why? It's called a soul tie, a soul connection. And sometimes people can form things in your soul that you cannot resist. What you need to do is sit and talk to a homosexual before you judge them. It's a soulish thing. And I need you to understand, like a crackhead has a soulish issue, like a drug head has a soulish issue. Everybody has soulish issues. Listen, I need you to understand. My issue with the church is you forget where you've come from. That's my issue. I don't need you to like what I'm saying. My God, I don't need you to like what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, I know when I look at my friends list that some of y'all gonna delete me, right? And I don't care. I don't care. Delete me. Somebody needs to delete me because I have surpassed where you are. I am seeing in a different realm, and I'm seeing from a different reality. And what I'm discovering right now, if the homosexual could change, he couldn't change with some of our gatherings. Why? Because we don't come in considering ourselves first. Galatians chapter 6, you ought to read it sometime. Galatians chapter 6 says that before you go in to restore someone, consider yourself first. Consider yourself first. So that when you consider yourself, you be less like, well, what about the ones that saying, I'm going to be like this and that's it. I'm going to be like this and that's it. You know what I say to them? I now have an understanding for those that say, I'm going to be like this and this is the route I'm going and this. Okay, look, I was like that. Well, I wasn't. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those of us who have compromised position for pleasure, who have compromised position for pleasure. And we've all had that walk where there's some things that God, the Greek word is therapeuo in the Bible. That oftentimes when Jesus healed, the word therapeuo was mentioned. Therapeuo is where we get our English word therapy. Therapy. Well, what is therapy? If you've ever been in an accident, that accident leaves a scar tissue and it leaves damages that take therapy, that take time to resolve, that take time to heal, that take time for a person to be delivered from. But the church don't have patience. They want you to get it and get it now. Because we put oil on you and we prayed for you. It should be gone. It's not gone because you put oil on me. And if you really want to be truthful, some of the oil is being poured by people that ain't delivered themselves. And you're going to pour oil and you're not delivered. But you're expecting them to be delivered. No, somebody just needs to tell the truth. We knew musicians were homosexuals and we let them lead the choir and lead in praise and worship, and no one said anything. We knew they were, right? We knew they were, and we covered them. We covered them. We knew they were, and we covered them. We covered them, and we didn't preach about it, and we covered them. Now that it's all out in the forefront, you church people want to get mad. Yes, Lord. The church people want to get mad. And why do they want to get mad? They want to get mad at the baby that they've raised. You raised the baby. You've nurtured that baby. Right? You've raised it and you've nurtured it. Now that it's all to come out, you want to throw it out front. Right? When you didn't have no church. when you didn't have no members and that homosexual came in and turned your choir around. That homosexual came in with songs and turned your praise and worship around, and then the church got packed. Oh, y'all not talking to me? I have homosexual friends, and they tell me. I went in there. They knew what I was. I built the choir. I built the organization. I built the praise and worship. I built the whole thing. Packed the church out. Now that the church is packed, I become expendable because certain people don't like me, even though you knew what I was before I came to your church. I know it. I hear it. It's been said to me in private. What we've done, what clergy have done. Collar wearing, cross wearing clergy. Cassock wearing, censure wearing clergy. We knew what they were. And then once we got what we needed out of them, we could easily throw them away. Well, listen, sweetie, you can't throw this baby out with the bathwater. Because like baby kids, they done multiplied. You can't throw this kid out. They've multiplied. Now that they've multiplied, we see them in Orlando. We're seeing them all over the place. And you know what we're asking? Where did this come from? Like you didn't see it. Where did this come? You knew it. Where did this come from? Like you didn't see it. Like you didn't recognize it. It's been there. And now God judging. Oh, Jesus coming back. If Jesus didn't come back in the 1800s, when Negroes were being lynched, when Jesus didn't come back in the 30s, when Negroes were being lynched, if Jesus didn't come back in the 60s, when Negroes were being lynched because we couldn't vote, if Jesus didn't come back in those atrocities, the only reason why you want him to come back now with the homosexual, the only reason why you want him to come back now with the homosexual, the only reason you want him to come back now with the homosexual is because you mad. We know he coming back. In a twinkling of an eye, he about to come back. No. If he missed all those atrocities, if he didn't come back when Hitler was killing the Jews, and those are his chosen people, what makes you think he coming back right now? He's only coming back now because you mad and you prejudice. You're prejudiced. You're prejudiced. You're prejudiced and you are biased as it pertains to sin. That's why he coming back now. Why he didn't come back when the preacher, you would think Jesus would come back. Now, I'm going to give you one. This is true. Is not the church his bride? Is not the church his bride? Yeah, the church is his bride, right? So if the church is his bride, and preachers are sleeping with his bride, would not he come back to defend his bride? So if church hoes ain't gonna make Jesus come back, and thus his woman and men of God are sleeping with his bride, if he ain't coming back for that, then logically, how can we say he's coming back for this? Why is he coming back? Because it's too close to home. Because you don't like it. Because it crawls up your sleeve the wrong way. And it's easy for you to point them out. That's why you don't like it. That's why you don't like it. So we know now Jesus is coming back. Right? He coming back, right? The devil is a lie. He already said when he coming back. He's coming back when the church is short of no gift. Now I'm going to give y'all something since y'all are dealing with a lot of the end times eschatology. I'm going to give you some eschatology right now, and you heard it here from me first. I'm going to tell you when it's going to come back. When the church falls short of no gift. That is what Paul said in Corinthians. He says, I'm coming back when the church falls short of no gift. What does that mean? Right now, there is gift suppression in the church because you don't like the vessel that the gift is wrapped in. And as long as there's gift suppression, people will never walk into the mantle that God has given them. There is gift suppression. And as long as these gifts are being suppressed, then the body of Christ will not be fully dressed with every gifted individual doing what God has called them to do. So now, Paul says it, I didn't. He says it to the Corinthian church, that he's going to come back when the church falls short of no gift. So then, as long as there's gift suppression, as long as you're letting the people you want to come forward be gifted. I'm sick of these whoring bishops going through all these different ceremonies and getting all these garments, and we know they are hoe. Right? And you will license a hoe, but suppress other gifts because you don't like what they're struggling with. You'll license a whore. Oh, y'all. All right. Go ahead and drop now. You'll license a whore. You'll put vestments on a whore. You'll put them on a whore, right? You'll fly them around the church. You'll get the shoes ordered from Italy. You'll put vestments on a whore. You'll get the cassock ordered from Italy. You'll put vestments on a whore. You'll put a cincher on a whore, right? You'll let a whore walk around with the title bishop. Oh, y'all not talking to me. You'll let a whore walk around with the title bishop, but you'll suppress other gifts because you don't like the package it's wrapped in. Now, who is the hypocrite? And then you'll have people around here. Spiller don't like Pentecostal. I love Pentecostalism. I'll be Pentecostal till the day I die. What I don't like is fake Negroes. I can't stand fake Negroes. I can't stand Negroes that act like they ain't got a pass. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. I want to be in the company of people that are messed up like I am. I want to be in the company of people who are like the Apostle Paul that says, who will deliver me from this body of death? Thank God it has been done through Jesus Christ our Lord. I want to be in the company of people who are sinners saved by grace. I want to be in the company of people that have a thorn in their flesh that'll yell back at me and say, Spiller, keep going. God's grace is sufficient. I know you messed up. I know you got problems, but keep going. God's grace is sufficient. I want to be in the company of people that will not judge me for what they can see, but call me a work undone. I want to be around people who will say, Spiller, listen, you got issues, you got problems, you got struggles, but the anointing of God will arrest you right where you are if you keep pressing forward. What we don't have is enough people in the church telling people to press. We have gift suppression. And as long as there is gift suppression, Jesus is not coming back, because you want to give gifts to people you can stand, and you want to give gifts to people you can tolerate, and you want to give gifts to people you like, and you want to give gifts to people who got money in your church. That's the people you raising up. You're not raising up anointed people. You're raising up people who have money so that they won't leave, and you'll continue to have tithe coming into your church. That's who you're raising up. You being exposed by this prophet. And when I see preachers saying stuff like I'm saying, I'm hearing the trash and the garbage that I'm hearing. I say, Lord, where did this generation of preachers come from? So, all right, that means some of my preaching engagements that I never had, I probably will never have them after today. Some of y'all will never call me to come preach for you, and that's okay. There's a remnant that God is raising up that wants a man of God to tell the truth, because they sick of y'all. And it may just take some time. It may take some time for me to be accepted. You do know this. Here's prophecy, that Donald Trump was rejected as being a presidential candidate several times before this time. You know what Donald Trump was waiting for? Donald Trump was waiting for his time. And I believe that God is going to fix the time where I fit in with my group of people. And my group of people, listen, you may come to the church where I am, the conscious church. You may come to this conscious church, and as you're in this conscious church, you may see people that, I can't believe he letting them people minister. I can't believe he letting them people stand up. They ain't free. They ain't delivered. Why he letting these people stand up and sing and preach and prophesy? Why he letting these people do that? Why is he, I know that person, and I know that person, and I know that person, and I know they ain't clean, and I know they ain't right, but you go to Spiller Church, he got all them people working. He got all those people working. He got all those people working. He ain't asked them about their past. He don't even care about their past. All he cares about is that they are releasing their gift, bringing people in, saving and delivering people, because it takes a real delivered person to deliver somebody that's really chained and shackled. Ooh, I wish I could teach on that. What you don't know is this. Here's the truth. I don't know if you know it yet. God never called your flesh. See if y'all ready for this revelation. Go and delete me after this. God never called your flesh. He never called your flesh. Thank you, brother. I received that, Pastor. God never called your flesh. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So where did he form me? He formed me in spirit. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So where did he form me? In spirit. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. What did he know? He knew my spirit. Now he sent my spirit in flesh. But what you got to understand is that he anointed Jeremiah's spirit to preach before he had flesh. So my gift came with my spirit. It didn't come with my flesh. So my flesh can't disqualify me from being gifted. So you can't tell me I'm not gifted because I got issues in my flesh, because my gift came before I had my flesh. So my flesh can't disqualify the call on my life, because I was called by spirit. And when I preach, I am preaching in spirit, not in flesh. And as long as I'm preaching in spirit, then you can't make my flesh already deny me. Listen. I want you to get this, because this is true. Because I hear all these people. He need to be delivered for he preach. She need to be delivered for she preach. I need you to understand that God didn't call your flesh. God called your spirit. He called your spirit to prophesy. He called your spirit to preach. He called your spirit to be a teacher, an evangelist, a pastor, a prophet, an apostle. He called your spirit to walk in one of those 5 areas. And when he called your spirit to do it, he knew that you would be wrapped in a nasty, dirty, wretched flesh. But what he was hoping was that you would come into contact with a man and a woman of God that would say, I know you got issues, but you still gifted. I know you've got problems, but you still gifted. I know that you have desires that you hate and things you want to be delivered from and things you want to be changed from, but you can't. Here it is. Here it is. If I take that away from you, you wouldn't pray like you pray. Are y'all ready for that? If I pull that out of your flesh, you wouldn't pray like you pray. If I took that away from you, you wouldn't cry the way you cry. If I pulled it out of your flesh, you wouldn't worship the way you worshiped. He said, I leave some things with you because you get beside yourself with how gifted you are. So I'll leave some things in your flesh. I'll leave them in your flesh so that I can get a worshiper through that gift. I'll leave it in your flesh so I can get a praiser in that gift. I'll leave it in your flesh because I know if I don't leave that issue with you, you get beside yourself. But I'm going to leave some stuff with you. And here is what the church don't like. The church don't like some stuff that God leaves. I don't see God leaving that in you. He left it because if he didn't leave it with this gift, I'd get beside myself. It's my flesh that make me pray. It's my flesh that make me fast. It's my flesh that makes me cry. It's my flesh that makes me chase God. It's my flesh that keeps me in his face. It's my flesh that keeps me crying out to him. And if he took it out your flesh, you'd be an arrogant son of a gun. So he leaves it in your flesh. So you'll be a grateful son of a gun. And there's some of you right now, the only reason you praise the way you praise is because he left some stuff he didn't take out. Now what the church gonna do with that? Now what the church gonna do with that? What you gonna do with the thorn that he left? What can you do about the thorn that he left? What? You want him to die? You want him to commit suicide? They're doing it. What you gonna do with the thorn that God left, that they asked God to take out? And he said, I ain't taking it out because my grace is sufficient. I ain't taking it out. I ain't pulling out their flesh. I ain't taking it from them. I want it to stay right there, because at least while it's right there, my grace is sufficient. My grace is sufficient. And my strength, Eric, is made perfect in your weakness.